Hello again. We're now on to Chapter 8, taking a deeper look at gender discrimination. People ask, does it really exist? What do you guys think? Have you seen positions where either men or women are being held back, or not receiving equal pay, not having the opportunity for some job advancement, for trainings, other opportunities, whatever it might be because of their gender? We know that there are some career paths that tend to be naturally more female or male. There are more female teachers, there are more female nurses, and there are more men police officers. But it doesn't mean that one person is more suited for the job, specifically based on the fact that they are either male or female. Again, we put on that thinking cap when we are in the hiring panel. We want to make sure that we are looking past this. We're looking for, is this the best candidate for the position? And then once we bring someone onto the organization, not holding them back, giving them opportunities for advancement and for moving forward. So there was this study, Fortune 1000 Industrial and Fortune 500 put out a study. They note here in the textbook that 97% of top managers are white males. Do you think that's true? They're probably looking at a certain industry, a certain type of organization. We have seen more men and women working at the same level in different industries, but there are some positions that remain predominantly male, and that's because these types of discrimination, this thought concept, is really new in our history for our organization, for our country. So things are changing, but it does take time. It really does. And there's this thought process behind who is appropriate for what type of position and why. They do note in the textbook the common concept that top-level management positions should be held by men because they are more aggressive, they don't have home life that's holding them back, the concept that you don't see as many men at home while women are working. But it's an ever-changing workforce. Today is not the same as it was 50 years ago, where we had a working man and a stay-at-home wife with the kids, where now we have a lot of dual-income families. Myself is one of them. You have to figure out how to go ahead and work and take care of the family and go to school like you guys are at night. These are wonderful attributes. It's something that an organization should really admire and try to foster in their individuals, not be holding someone back based on their gender. So the textbook makes a nice note on different types of stereotypes, just gender discrimination in general. This starts at slide 11 if you're looking through the PowerPoints with me. There is usually disparity or discrimination in advertising. Have you seen examples of that? Or in application questions, they can be geared toward either male or female, in which either one of those individuals might not score as high in an interview because of their gender. Different hours or job positions could be offered based whether someone is male or female. If we go to the medical profession, nursing, nurses should have the same set schedule regardless of whether they are male or female. It shouldn't apply at all in the workforce. Discipline and training. We want to have an organization, we want to work for an organization that is very aware of this concept. You don't want to be, as some of Title VII is, you don't want to be overly aware, like we discussed in our last chapter, the concept of reverse discrimination, where it's such a hot topic that people are always treading lightly. They're not comfortable just relaxing and doing their jobs. This is something we want to be aware of in the back of our mind as human resource professionals, as we are putting out job bulletins, training opportunities, making sure that everyone has access to that information. The chapter then goes on further to discuss different types of gender discrimination, gender plus discrimination, based on a gender and some other factors such as marital status or children. So you might have two interview candidates applying for a position, one male, one female. We're not only considering the fact that one is male, one is female. So let's say, the female probably is going to have more sick days because she has 3 children at home, where the male wouldn't have that. That's not a fair assumption to make. The female might be just as qualified, if not more than, just because she has those children at home, or vice versa. Gender stereotyping. The assumption that most or all members of a particular gender must act in a certain way. This is the concept of grouping everyone into one lump sum and based on your own experiences, your own thought process, you're putting someone into a category that might not fit them at all. And that's a narrow-minded way of thinking. We want to be as broad and open with our employees in our organization as we can be. Different types of logistical considerations. This does bring up here, I think we highlight it later on in sexual orientation. Certain requirements, certain needs, certain accommodations that we want to make for different individuals. There are some versus male versus some versus female, different doctor's appointments, time off. If you have a breastfeeding mother at work, you want to make a reasonable accommodation for that. They have some great examples here. There are some people that we have seen in the field that aren't as common, like a female sports reporter. So that brings up the idea that, well, can she do as good of a job? Can she be in the locker room with men? Can you have a male sports reporter when you're reporting on a female tennis match? The same concept. You couldn't be able to go into the rooms afterwards and discuss with the athletes. Things we want to keep in mind. Or try to keep out of our mind if we're looking for the most qualified individual in our organization. Equal pay and equal worth. This is a concept that doesn't always go hand in hand with a candidate. Or at least in history's past, we have seen that men tend to be rising, like we noted earlier, in corporate organizations and some of these higher level executive positions, getting more promotions, more bonuses because of the fact that they're male. Again, that is changing very much. We want to make sure that people have the opportunity for equal pay. So if we have 2 line workers, they're putting together the same amount of widgets during the day, they are working the same amount of hours, and they should receive the same amount of pay. 60 years ago, that wasn't true. Before the Civil Rights Act of 1964, we had very blatant cases where men were making more than women, or women were working more hours than men, working harder than their male supervisors. That has been brought to light, and part of gender discrimination is making sure that this doesn't happen in the workforce. So without trying to be as redundant as possible, the textbook really highlights a lot of those elements. Go through, make sure you do your weekly question, your quizzes, your 3 questions at the end of the chapter. You guys are doing great.